Hello there, welcome to the garden. It is a beautiful July day and I wanted to take you through a garden tour, show you what's growing, what's blooming. The sun is out, it's getting hot, so I want to make sure I get this done before everything starts to have their midday wilt because we are really in the middle of summer, but the garden's taking off, the blooms are taking off. Let me show you everything that's blooming. All right, I'm gonna start with the phlox in this corner because they are absolutely in their prime. And look, here is the first butterfly of the season. What perfect timing. So fun that that showed up for the garden tour. How beautiful. I am sure that the phlox had something to do with this butterfly arriving because, oh my goodness, they are stunning. That bubblegum pink. The bubblegum pink is like the perfect summer flower color. I personally love it. So this is a really beautiful perennial phlox. And then as you can see, I have this butterfly weed, milkweed, which has a little bee on it, really bringing in the pollinators. And there's the Russian sage, which I added as well. So this whole little corner is just bringing in all the pollinator love. And pretty soon you can see that the first of the black-eyed Susans are starting to open. So this corner is starting to just really take off and go into its prime. Then we've got some cucumbers growing up the fence and they are doing well. You can see the heat is starting to hit them, but yeah, they are taking off up the fence and have reached the top. And the arch trellis here, my Juliet tomatoes, are just probably the number one plant in the garden. I've been harvesting pretty consistently, like every day or so, and they are just loaded with fruit. I'm kind of wondering how long it's going to be until they reach the top of this trellis because they're getting close. They're getting really close, but they're beautiful, super consistent, really lovely, and really lovely, yummy, like saladette sized tomatoes. So really a delicious tomato as well. I've talked about these tomatoes a bit, but they're definitely worth the hype. Really, really nice tomatoes and a really healthy plant. The other tomatoes are also doing really well since I staked them up. You might have seen in my other video, I redid how I'm staking them and attached them all to a trellis in the middle of the tomato patch, and that has really worked. They're doing much better on here. I harvested my first tomato and I've got a bunch of fruit coming, so that's really exciting to see. It has been pretty warm here. We've been getting into the high 80s, 90s Fahrenheit, but the tomatoes are still setting fruit, which is encouraging. We've got some paste tomatoes here. It's just like classic paste tomato that's got a bunch of fruit on it, so that'll be ripening soon. And below the tomatoes we have the Suncredible sunflowers, which I am in love with. More of these are on the list for next year for sure because they are really gorgeous, and you can see loaded with buds in there. And this lantana is like loving life, and I may have to add some lantanas to my plans for next year too because it's really just growing beautifully, and it's actually growing out of this fun container with this salvia, which was an unnamed salvia. I didn't have a tag when I brought it back from the garden center, but is such a pretty flower. And then these lunchbox peppers, which have been producing these really yummy little, let me see if I can get you, little salad, like snack size peppers. They turn red, so I've been harvesting them once they turn red, but they're really a yummy little pepper. Perfect for a little snack. I love to eat peppers as a snack. I personally am a big fan of just, like raw peppers just for fresh eating, and so I actually really love those little salad peppers, and they're very lunchbox salad snack peppers. It's very rewarding because they produce a lot of fruit. Like with the tiny peppers, they ripen quickly, they produce fruit quickly. A couple years back, I tried to grow some more of like the big bell peppers, and it's just not quite as fun as these guys that you're picking fruit all the time. Then over here, the clematis is doing really well. I'm hoping it'll start blooming again soon. And the penstemon is reblooming. So this is a perennial that I put in this container with these beautiful limoncello petunias, and there's a blue angelonia, super blue, which is about to rebloom. And yeah, I cut them back their first flush of flowers, and they are starting to rebloom again and kind of bush out. So that's a very fun little perennial in that container. And I'm definitely going to be labeling this container and keeping it for next year, and probably just letting that penstemon basically take the container over. Then we have our little container pond. The sun is just coming over, so that'll start really bubbling up more with the fountain. And the little tiny tomatoes putting on fruit. My tiny tomato plants are not super healthy this year. They've got like some kind of pest or fungus damage, which is a little disappointing, but all my other tomatoes are doing so well that you know, it's okay. What can you do? You win some, you lose. And now let's talk more zinnias. So this is my like zinnia Swiss chard, more peppers in this bed. So the Swiss chard, I have this giant Ford hook Swiss chard. It's a yellow Swiss, or not a yellow, it's a white stemmed Swiss chard. So it's not as flashy as like the yellow Swiss chard, but really big and beautiful, healthy plant. Doing super well. Oop, there are so many pollinators buzzing around. That Swiss chard is doing well, and so is the red and the pink that I have down here too. And they are just growing along with these peppers, starting to get more fruit. This is a gypsy pepper next to that truffle pink Frina. That's going to be ready to harvest probably pretty much now. Probably harvest that. And then I have more of the culado peppers, which are that heatless jalapeno. So all of the fun of a jalapeno without the spiciness. For those of us who don't like the super spicy peppers, those are great. And then these are Lilliput zinnias, which are always beautiful. And if you can see, there's some damage. This is actually from goldfinches. So as wild as it is, we have goldfinches that come to the garden and they love to eat the zinnias. It's really interesting. The first time I saw it, I was like, what is eating my zinnias? But I can't be too upset because it's goldfinches and I love goldfinches. So that's just one of those funny things. You can hear the cicadas. Summer in Virginia. You know, what are you gonna do? But if you see that kind of damage, look out for goldfinches. It might be the birds eating it. Then we have this little corner growing inside the frame of the greenhouse, all in grow bags, the squash, which are doing beautifully. I've got to come out and harvest. I don't know if you can see that zucchini out here. That one's ready to harvest, and it is growing up basically vertically through the frame of the greenhouse, and that has worked really well. I've been loving growing squash vertically this year. I've been doing it with this one right here too, which is starting to set some female flowers, which is exciting to see. And it's really been a nice way to grow squash without taking up quite as much space. But the grow bags are fun. They're really working well for the squash. And I also have a few things like this carpet mix Cosmos. I love that color. Such a fun summer color. And I even planted a sunflower in here, which definitely has not gotten to full size, but is still pretty and fun. Sunflowers will not get to their full size if they're grown in this compact of a setting in a container like this. But I still think that, you know, it adds something fun. And over here you can see all the things that I started for the fall garden. There's the corn. It's coming up. It's pretty neat. It's growing really well. And then you can also see maybe the little sprouts of the green onions and basil. So those are all for the fall garden. This is kind of like not the aesthetic corner of the garden, but a really nice area just to grow. And it's fun to see that stuff coming up. I have some containers here as well, which are doing really well. Of course, my eggplant, putting on some new flowers, which is great to see. I actually have ginger, which is growing in that pot, which looks really healthy. And that's kind of just been rocking along. I started it from a piece of ginger that I had from the grocery store. And it's just been doing great. And those little grocery store sunflowers that I had too are doing their thing, kind of branching with some smaller flowers, but still really pretty. And any sunflower. I love any sunflower. So that's nice. This fall container is looking good. And of course the Coreopsis and the hardy banana are just doing their thing. This got knocked over a little bit, but still so pretty. I love the color on this. And this incredible swirl Coreopsis is beautiful too. A little different with that white coloring. Then the other fall tomato plant is getting going, and we have the Pugster Blue butterfly bush, which is stunning. I just cut back a bunch of blooms. This is one that you want to deadhead as regularly as possible to keep it blooming, so I did just deadhead it, but it's doing great, and I'm loving this combination of the blue with these pink. These are the Super Tunia bubblegum, and I think that's just like the prettiest color combo. Those are doing so well. I have my Minnesota midget melons that I don't know if maybe I should have put them in a bigger pot or something. I'm gonna leave them and see what happens, but this is definitely a little bit more of a garden fail. But I had to show you, just full disclosure, not everything turns out great. But next to it is my pink lemon, and I love this plant. Pink variegated lemon plant. It is so cute. I don't see any flowers on it yet, but it has grown a lot of new leaves. Like, these are all brand new, so really, really happy with this plant. I got it online and it came and has done beautifully, and it's just, yeah, really a super, super plant. This will be coming inside for the winter once we hit fall. Waiting on some sunflowers to sprout in that pot for the fall. Some more tomatoes. I'm also waiting on the potatoes, but I did throw in a few bean seeds, which you can see coming up. So there's gonna be beans and potatoes in this grow bag, and we'll see how those two grow together. That's a little bit of an experiment. I don't know if that's advisable to grow things around your potatoes. It's probably not, but I got my packet of bean seeds wet, and so I figured, you know what? We'll just try it. We'll kind of see what happens, and yeah, I'll keep you posted on that. Not sure how that's gonna go. Okay, now let's take a moment to appreciate the elephant ear. I absolutely love elephant ears. This is so beautiful. I got this as just like a Walmart elephant ear bulb, and look how lovely. The impatiens below it are doing well. There's a coleus, and then it's just putting off the most beautiful big green leaves. Really tropical and fun. Next to it, I've got a cucumber. This is a pick-a-bushel cucumber. It is loaded with flowers, and I'm going to be picking some fruit off of it soon. And so that is doing really well. I'm going with the method of growing this catmint right next to the cucumbers to hopefully add with some pollination, because the cucumbers are just growing through it, and I'm just letting that happen. I've got, one to harvest, it looks like. In there, this is the salad bush cucumber, and I actually just went ahead and ordered more seeds for this for next year, because this has by far been the cucumber that is setting the most fruit and doing the happiest, and it's also a little bit more of a compact plant. I have, I think this is either a silver slicer or a Chelsea prize cucumber, and it's growing really tall, but I'm not seeing as much fruit set on this one, whereas the salad bush is just there's fruit set all over this guy. So definitely that one's a highlight and a reorder. The mandevillas are slowly making their way up the trellis. I talked about this on Instagram a little bit. These mandevillas have not done quite what I wanted them to. I really wanted pink flowers all the way up the arch trellis, and I don't know if that's gonna happen this season. But I'm seeing a few more buds starting again, and I'm hoping maybe now that the heat's really hitting, that they will start to take off and really bloom. They grew so well for me in containers last year, and I'm wondering if maybe it's just one of those things that does better in a container. So it's a little bit of a live and learn situation. Sometimes you find that some things just actually really thrive in a container for you, whereas other things do better in the ground. So I planted them in the raised bed, and I think that wasn't as ideal, I guess, for this plant. So that's okay. Next year, if I get one, I'll just do it in a container and grow it up something else. I am looking at, this is a vinca. You can see the hanging basket up here, and this is the vinca vine has grown all the way down to the I love adding them to hanging baskets because there's just something so whimsical, and this is like probably at least 6 feet long by now, so we'll see how far it goes, if it'll make it all the way to the ground. Let me know if you think the vinca can make it. So the rest of this corner is, you know, doing pretty well. I think I might see, this is very exciting, is that a baby fig? This is my Chicago hardy fig, and I see something that may look like a baby fig starting. I don't know. That would be so cool if that is. But the plant is still really pretty, I think, and I've been enjoying it over here in this corner with this little random nasturtium. But yeah. Is that a fig? I think that's gotta be a baby fig. So excited. The eucalyptus is also doing really well in its little container. It's loving life. Beautiful baby blue eucalyptus. Smells just amazing. Love that eucalyptus scent. And then the new layout of this area is, I think, looking much better. I'm really liking it. It's sort of taking a while to fill in. This elephant ear is not what I expected. I thought it was supposed to be like the teacup, but it's looking like some sort of deeper colored elephant ear. We'll see as it gets bigger, but the little zinnias are growing up around the corkscrew willow, which is kind of fun. I need to do a little care to that pot for sure, but I'm liking this new layout of this area. And of course the container pond is just always so beautiful and whimsical, and the lily pads are doing well. Oh my gosh, nothing makes me happier. This reminds me of my childhood home. I grew up on a lake, and yeah, this just takes me back. I don't know if it's gonna bloom. I don't know if it gets enough sun here, but it's still really beautiful. So that is the highlights of the July garden. I'll definitely do another, maybe like an early August garden tour, because I feel like the garden is just really starting to hit its stride. For gardeners in my zone, you know that this is the time when the garden just really starts to take off, and it's such a fun time. Like the next few weeks are just so beautiful, and there's new produce being ready to harvest and new flowers blooming, and it's just so much fun. One more container before we go. Did this little shade hanging basket. It's got some Garden Meister fuchsia, these really pretty gilded grape, and this beautiful sweet potato vine. And I've been actually really enjoying this little container. It's coming a little bit out of bloom, but it's been a fun little spot right here by my garden chair, which needs to be cleaned, but that's on the to-do list for this week. Anyways, thank you so much for hanging out in the garden. I hope you're having a great day and getting out into your garden as well. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye.